Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janvalabha Jaya Girivardhari. Gopi Janvalabha Jaya Girivardhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yashoda Nandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jamuna Tira Punachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari 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 Jai Sri Sri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Jai Sri Sri Radha Partha Sarati Ki Jai Jai Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayo Mutirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanang pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're continuing our study of the fourth canto, chapter 27, This is entitled Attack by Chandravega on the city of Puranjana. Today's shloka is number 19. Kalasya duhita kachit trilokim varam ichchati paryatantena barhishman pratyanandatta kaschana. Kalasya duhita kachit trilokim varamichati paratantena barhishman pratyanandatta kaschana. Kalasya duhita kachit trilokim varamichati paryatantina barhishman pratyanandata kaschana. Vaishnavis, Kalasya of formidable time. Duhita, the daughter. Kachit, someone. Trilokim, within the three worlds. Varam, husband. Ichchati, desiring. Paryatanti, traveling all over the universe. Na, never. Barishman, O King Prachina Barishat. Pratyanandata accepted her proposal. Kaschana, anyone. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear King Prachinabarishat, at this time, the daughter of formidable time was seeking her husband throughout the three worlds. Although no one agreed to accept her, she came. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In due course of time, when the body becomes old and practically invalid, it is subject to jara, the sufferings of old age. There are 4 basic kinds of suffering: birth, janma; old age, jara; disease, vyadi; and death, mrityu. No scientist or philosopher has ever been able to make a solution to these 4 miserable conditions. The invalidity of old age, known as jara, is figuratively explained here as the daughter of time. No one likes her, but she is very much anxious to accept everyone as her husband. No one likes to become old and invalid, but this is inevitable for everyone. So here in this chapter, we have Narada Muni continuing to preach to the king, Prachinabarishat. Now he has a very friendly and affectionate relationship with him. He calls him Barishman, which is a more personal name than the formal name, Prachinabarishat. So he's speaking to him on a very one-on-one, friendly basis. And he's speaking about time, kala, time. And Prabhupada explains in his translation and purport that kala is formidable. No one can conquer time. Time conquers everybody. So King Prachinabarishat, as all kings are feeling that they are very strong, they are very powerful. But Narada Muni is trying to explain to the king by giving the example of another king, Puranjana, how this other king was overcome, and indirectly Narada Muni is preaching to King Prachinabarishat by using the example of another king, Puranjana, which wasn't even a real king, just an example. So this chapter is very interesting. This whole 4th canto, the description of Puranjana, it's very interesting because we can see how Narada Muni preaches. Everyone wants to be a preacher. And we can learn from the topmost preacher, Narada Muni, how to convince somebody by relating to them on their own level of understanding. So you preach to a king about things about kings. You preach to grihastas about things relating to grihasta life. You preach to brahmacharis about things relating to brahmachari life. You preach to sannyasis about things relating to sannyasi life. But no matter which station of life we are in, it's all temporary. Asat, it's all temporary. Achit, there's ignorance involved. And nirananda, there's always stress and anxiety. Unless we come to the transcendental platform, being a pure devotee, that these things don't affect us. So that is the goal of following the process of bhakti yoga, to come to the transcendental position so that nothing affects us. Whatever happens outside doesn't disturb us inside. And that's called renunciation. That's the true meaning of renunciation. That we're never disturbed because we're on the transcendental platform. So therefore, we never see the environment as bad or as negative. And for Vaishnavas, no Vaishnava ever has a problem. There's no such thing as a problem for Vaishnavas. What do they have? They have a challenge. Whatever happens in life, we don't see it as a problem. It is only a challenge. How to overcome this challenge to get to the next stage, to make advancement in devotional life on the progressive goal of transcendental realization, whereby the heart becomes filled with Krishna prema. Prabhupada, if we can use him as an example, his name was Abhaya Charanaravinda. He was fearless, Abhaya. Fearless. Why he was fearless? Because Krishna was always with him in his heart. He had Krishna prema to the max, and he was always conscious of Krishna at every moment. When we have Krishna prema, fear cannot exist. Because we are 100% convinced that Krishna is protecting us. There's not one even hint of doubt in the mind. So this is called the transcendental position. We are 100% firmly fixed in the mercy and protection of the Lord. So here Narada Muni is preaching to the king in terms that the king could understand. So he's speaking of time as another king. And time is the most formidable of all kings. No one can conquer time. And time had a daughter, old age. And this old age was coming and looking for a husband. In other words, she wanted to marry everyone, which means make everybody sick and invalid, and eventually they gasp their last breath and are taken away to the court of Jamaraj. So, throughout the three worlds, the daughter of time, Jara, old age, is exerting her influence. She's coming to every person, and Narada Muni is giving the example that a young bride is looking for a husband. So the daughter of time, Jara, is like a bride looking for a husband, but no one will accept her. Now it's very interesting that he makes this point. Although no one will accept Jara, everybody has to accept Jara. There's no choice. We're thinking we have choice. There's no choice. When I was your age, I was also thinking there's no choice. I mean, I was young forever. We think like this. But now I cannot think like that. Even Prabhupada commented when he was in Jagannath Puri with the disciples in 1977, he was saying that as a young man, after he had finished his college education, he came to Jagannath Puri. And he said he was jumping in the waves on the sea beach. But he said, now in this body, I cannot jump in the waves anymore. It's not possible. So everyone has to accept the daughter of time, Jara, even though they don't want to. So this means that we're forced against our own will to accept old age, to accept disease, and finally to accept death. Nobody wants these things, but we're forced to accept them in the material world. Now here's the good news. Listen to the good news. In the spiritual world, there is no daughter of time. There is no disease. There is no death. They never heard of such things. So we're all originally spiritual beings. We're all spirit, soul, Atma, residing in this body. Therefore, these things, old age, disease, death, is unnatural for us because we remember our eternal constitutional position as Atma, Atma Tattva. We know this truth deep inside, but we are suffering from various diseases in this material world. And the strongest disease that we're suffering from is an identity crisis. Everyone is experiencing an identity crisis because we don't remember who we are. We're all identifying with this body. We have Indian devotees, we have American devotees, we have European devotees. And everybody's thinking, I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm European. And we all have the proof. Here's my passport. The passport is the proof of the misidentification. But actually, the process of bhakti yoga is to bring us out of this disease of forgetfulness, of this identity crisis, so that we can remember that we are Atma. This is called Atma Tattva, the truth of understanding our eternal identity. So Prabhupada never forgot that he was Atma. He was always conscious of Krishna. Everything he did was according to the direction of Krishna. He was constantly in touch with Krishna. They were having an eternal conversation. Paramatma would say, go to America, go to New York. So he went to New York. Everyone else went to London. Paramatma would say, do this. He would do it. Go here. He would go there. Do that. He would do that. So he was fully Paramatma realized. Now Paramatma knows past, present, and future. So if we are connected to Paramatma and we hear his voice and he's instructing us to speak like this, to go here, to do that, then we are perfectly situated in Krishna consciousness because we're always conscious of the Lord in the heart. We hear his instruction moment to moment to moment to moment. We follow that, and therefore we become transcendently situated. No more fear, no more stress, no more anxiety, no more doubt. We're 100% convinced because we're being guided, directed by the Lord. So we become the pen in the hand of Krishna as he rewrites the history of this world. How this world gradually became Krishna conscious in the middle of Kali Yuga. So it's up to us. We can either be mindful that we are spirit soul, that Paramatma is in our heart, and become the instrument, the pen in Krishna's hand to rewrite the history of this realm, how we came out of Maya and into Krishna consciousness. Or we can carry on thinking, I am Indian, I'm American, I'm male, I'm female, I'm black, I'm white, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly. We can carry on like that. Choice is ours. There's never any force. Prabhupada once said to us, love means no force. Here we see Narada Muni convincing Prachina Barishat, not by force, but by affectionate preaching, by logic and reasoning. So in this way, the king begins to understand the situation. So, what time does the class finish? Okay. So, here, Prabhupada is saying that there's 4 basic kinds of suffering. Birth is painful. It's painful to the child, it's painful for the mother. Old age is painful. Disease is painful. And death is the most painful. Excuse me. And the reason that this is painful is because it's unnatural. The spirit soul does not engage in death, old age, disease, or birth. And because we are a spirit soul and not this body, therefore for us, these things are unnatural. So what is the natural constitutional position of the living entity? The natural constitutional position of every living being is das, 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 anudas. The humble servant of the servant of the servant of the pure devotee of the Lord. And that is the position that we're trying to reach. We're not trying to reach some artificial position to gain respect in the community or amongst our peers. We're not interested in that. We're only interested in Krishna Seva. If we get respect, then it comes. If we don't get respect, no problem. It's the same, because no matter what happens externally, I am the same internally. And this was the basis of the preaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That one should become more humble than the grass, more tolerant than the tree, ready to offer all respects to everyone else and not desiring any honor or respect for himself. And in such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So let's analyze this shloka. Sometimes people say, how do I develop humility? Which means, how do I become more humble than the grass? Sometimes people ask, how can I become transcendental? Which means, how can I become more tolerant than the tree? So Lord Chaitanya is giving the example. He's teaching us in this shloka. Amanina. We have to develop the mentality of amanina. Amanina means I desire no honor and no respect. Therefore, if no honor and no respect comes to me, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I didn't want it. It's not coming. I'm very happy. It's just like old age. If old age doesn't come, I don't want it. It doesn't come. I'm very happy. Disease doesn't come, I'm very happy. Honor and respect doesn't come, I'm very happy. Because this honor and respect is a trap. We will believe when people glorify us that I am something special, that I am able to accomplish something that other people cannot do. And once I start thinking like this, I'm finished, completely finished. Because then humility is blocked for me. So first we develop this amanina mentality, that I don't desire any honor or respect. If I do something wonderful and nobody says anything, I'm happy. If I do something wonderful and people find fault with me and challenge me, say, that was terrible. Oh, thank you very much. You were my guru. In the 11th canto, Krishna is explaining. In the 11th canto, it's explained that everyone is our guru. So many gurus are there. We learn from everything. We learn from the sky. We learn from the tree. We learn from the air. We learn from every living entity. So we see everyone as guru in the sense that we are learning something. So someone finds fault with me, thank you very much. And I should consider that fault. Maybe I can do better. Maybe I can improve. How many people think we can always improve? Do we ever reach the point where we can't improve anymore? So we can always improve. So that's amanina. Now someone comes and glorifies us. What the service you did was excellent. This was the best service I ever heard anyone speak or anyone do. Then how do I respond? Oh, it's not me. This is Krishna Shakti. This is Guru Kripa. We never take the credit. And I'll give you an example, the most perfect example. First, I'll ask you a question. If I ask you who was the personality that was prophesied to spread Krishna consciousness all over the whole world, what is your answer? Srila Prabhupada. However, that is not Prabhupada's opinion. On this point, we have a different opinion than Prabhupada. Because in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one purport, when Mahaprabhu was relating to this, Priti Vite Jata Ache Nagara Digram Sharbatra Prachar Hoibe Mor Nam, that the holy names will be spread to every town and village. Prabhupada in the purport says, and now, in our own lifetime, we have seen this prophecy come true. And it has been fulfilled by His divine grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is preaching all over the whole world through his disciples. So we learn from this that the Shishya, the disciple, never takes the credit. The credit always goes to Guru. Why the credit goes to Guru? We saw Prabhupada's struggle. He did so much. He traveled all over the world. He suffered so many difficulties in health. But still he carried on, but he said he didn't do it. Bhaktisiddhanta did it. Why is that? Because Bhaktisiddhanta gave him the order. Without that order, he wouldn't have done it. So it goes back to the original order of Guru. Therefore we say Guru Kripa. By the mercy of the Guru, he gave me this instruction, and I dedicated my life to that instruction. Therefore he gets the credit. So if someone glorifies me, it's not me. It's Prabhupada Kripa, Guru Kripa. Or we can say Krishna Shakti. For example, in the Shastra it says, Golokera Prema Dana Harinama Sankirtana. No, that's not the verse. Kolikalar Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Krishna Shakti Vina Nahitar Pravartan. That this Kali Yuga, the yajna of the age is Harinam Sankirtan. But without being empowered by Krishna, no one can spread the Sankirtan movement. So again, I am not doing anything. It's either Krishna Shakti or Guru Kripa. So this is Amanina. So we should understand this and learn to inculcate this. Then we will develop tolerance. We will develop true renunciation, which is an internal thing. Renunciation is not something external, it's internal. Prabhupada, for example, when his friend Narendranath Malik wanted to introduce him to a sannyasi that he had met, Bhaktisiddhanta. Oh, come, I've just heard this wonderful sannyasi. I think you will like him. I want your opinion. What do you think? Prabhupada said, I've seen so many sannyasis. They all came to my father's home. They just eat, take some money and go. I'm not interested. No, this one's different. No. Finally, he convinced him to come. So Prabhupada, even at that age, he was grihasta at that time. He understood that sannyas is not something external. But then when he heard Bhaktisiddhanta, then he realized that Lord Chaitanya's mission is now in good hands, solid hands. And from that moment on, in 1922, he resolved to become the humble servant of his Guru Maharaj. Even though externally he didn't take Diksha for 11 more years. But no one should think that he was not connected for 11 years, because internally he was connected. And then externally, that happened 11 years later. And Prabhupada gave the example that the real initiation is when we accept the teachings, we accept the Guru, we accept Krishna in the heart. And the formal Diksha is when we do the svahas, that's the formal. And he gave the example of a marriage. A young girl is ready to be married. In her heart, she's already accepted one man. She tells her father, this man, I've accepted him in my heart. And then arrangement is made and the wedding date is set. And at that time, the marriage is consummated. They're considered married. But already in their hearts, they have accepted one another. So it's the same with Diksha. Same with spiritual life. We accept internally in our heart. So Amanina. Now you understand Amanina. Manadena. Manadena is the secret of success, how to become humble. People sometimes say, how do I become humility? How do I get humility? Manadena, by offering all honor and respect to everyone else. Everyone else, I see them as doing devotional service. And I respect that, and I honor that, and I glorify that. The quality of a Vaishnava. How do we know who is a Vaishnava? He's always glorifying everybody else. He's only seeing their good qualities. He's not the fault finder. He's not pushing them down. He's lifting up, glorifying. Kirtaniya Sadahari. If we have this mentality, Manadena, glorifying everyone else, we become humble. Because I see myself as Das, 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 Anudas. I see myself at the end of the line. And even in Lord Jesus, he was saying that those who are at the end of the line, those who are last, later they will become first to go back to Godhead. So everybody knows this who is on the transcendental platform. So if I'm not Das, 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 Anudas, if I'm not in my constitutional position, being last, being the servant of everyone, there's a Sanskrit word for that mentality. What is that called? What is that Sanskrit word? When I'm not in my constitutional position? Maya. That's the word. You're either Das, 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 Anudas, or you're in Maya. There's only two possibilities. You're either everyone's well-wisher, or you're not. There's only two possibilities. And if I'm not everyone's well-wisher, then I'm not in the Das, 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 Anudas platform, although I may be working towards that. So I have to get rid of the anarthas. So by practicing Amanina and Manadena, I begin to gradually develop this humility, develop this tolerance, this transcendental perception of everything. And then Kirtaniya Sadahari, I'm always constantly able to glorify Krishna, hear Paramatma in the core of my heart, follow his instructions perfectly, and thereby become the pen in his hand to rewrite how Delhi became Krishna conscious. So Narada Muni is explaining all this to King Prachinabarishat, but he also explains what happens if you don't follow this. So he explains that Puranjana was not following. He was only interested in Indriya Tripti. And so, because he was a king, he had all opportunity for Indriya Tripti. Also in ISKCON, we have all opportunity for Indriya Tripti. We come from a village, and all of a sudden we join this movement, and now I'm living in a room with marble floor. Everyone's calling me Prabhu. I eat the best prasad. So we sometimes engage in Indriya Tripti unless we're conscious that this is all for Krishna Seva. And it's not for my enjoyment, but it's service to Krishna. And that I'm enjoying this service to Krishna, not that I'm enjoying this sabji, but I'm enjoying serving Krishna by honoring this sabji. Chaturvidha Sri Bhagavat Prasado Smadvana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangan Kritvaiva Triptan Bhajata Sadeva Mande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. So the spiritual master is so happy to see the devotees honoring Mahaprasad together. Now, if we're given all honor and respect, then we're invited to take prasadam alone, special prasadam that not everybody takes. But that nowhere in Shastra does that say that's pleasing to the spiritual master. It's pleasing when we all take prasadam together. Because we are family. Spiritual life means we're a family. Everybody's part of the family. And this is a new conception coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because in Mahaprabhu's mission, even the sannyasis are part of the family. They're also in the family. It's not I take sannyas, I leave, go out, not part of the family anymore. I renounce the family. No, we have another family, spiritual family. Everyone's part of the family. So Prabhupada remarked several times that, I took this sannyasa ashram, I had to give up wife and children according to the rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma. But actually now I have so many more children. And he saw us as his sons and daughters, as his children. Sometimes he remarked, every letter, my dear son or my dear daughter. And he sometimes saw us as his children, and sometimes he saw us as his students. He was the teacher, we were the student. So he sometimes referred to us as disciples in the understanding that the student has to follow discipline. Disciple means one who's following the discipline of the instructions of the Guru. So, when we're not in our constitutional position, the word was Maya, and we engage in Indriya Tripti, even in the temple, Maya can come right into the temple. Maya can come in the middle of the japa period. We're chanting the holy names, and Maya enters our mind and takes us away from the holy name. In the temple room. So Maya, she goes everywhere. So we have to guard and protect the mind from this Maya. And when Maya pulls the mind away, we have to grab the mind and pull the mind back to Krishna. Just like a father protects the son, or a mother protects the daughter, we have to protect our mind so the mind doesn't go far away. Because not only will that destroy our Krishna consciousness, but it's an offense. It's an aparad. To be inattentive while chanting and maintaining material attachments even after hearing so many instructions on the matter. Because when my mind starts going away while I'm chanting my japa, where does my mind go? Does the mind go to Krishna Lila or does it go to my Lila? Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekang shanadam vacha. You make me number one. But during the japa, Krishna becomes not number one. My Lila becomes number one, and Krishna becomes number 2, or maybe number 10, or maybe number 100, but not number 1. Because we're letting the mind go. We're not in control. There's only 2 possibilities. Either control your mind or your mind controls you. So here in Puranjan history, Narada Muni is saying that the mind was controlling Puranjan. He was engaged in Indriya Tripti. He didn't go back to Godhead. He took birth as a woman because he was always thinking of a woman. But in that second birth, as a woman, he realized his mistake. And in that female body, he surrendered and became Krishna conscious and went back home, back to Godhead in the second birth. This is the preaching of Narada Muni. So, although he's smashing on one hand, Indriya Tripti, you're a king also, don't follow in the footsteps of Puranjana. Then you become a lady, and you won't be like a king, you won't be in charge anymore, someone else will be in charge of you. No king likes to hear this. He's thinking, I'm number 1. I'm the supreme controller. But as a woman, you're not the supreme controller. So But he also gave a hope, because in that woman's body, she finally became humble and recognized what she did wrong and went back home, back to Godhead. So in our preaching, we always have to show what is the wrong thing and what is the correct thing. What is the result if we do it wrong, and what is the result if we do it right? So the whole preaching of Narada Muni in explaining this history or story of Puranjana is, if we do it wrong, we take birth again. If we do it right, we go back home, back to Godhead. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us everything we need to correctly perform Bhakti Yoga and to make this our last life and go back home, back to Godhead, if we do it correctly. If we do it right, we get the result. If we do it wrong, we may not get the result. Sometimes people think, well, I have my faults, my mind is out of control, and I sometimes commit offenses, I'm struggling with the mind, but they're feeling, still I will go back to Godhead because I joined ISKCON. How many people think like that? Only a few. So here's the mentality. Someone else is following Paka. They're going back to Godhead. I'm not following Paka. But I want the same result as him. I also want to go back to Godhead, even though I'm not doing it right. What kind of mentality is that? No. It's a cheating mentality. We always want to blame somebody else. It's the Sahaja Sampradaya. It's not them, it's me. I want what someone else deserves because they're doing it correctly. I'm doing it wrong, but I want the same result. This will not help me. I have to correct that mentality. I have to improve. I have to do it correctly. I have to take charge of my mind. Everybody likes to make devotee. Who likes to go out and preach and make devotees? Well, let me tell you, the most important devotee that you can make is your mind. If your mind becomes a Vaishnava, it'll be very easy for you to become a Vaishnava. And if your mind is not a Vaishnava, it will be a struggle for you to become a Vaishnava. Yes? See, even he agrees. Confirmed. So let's follow the instructions of Guru Gauranga, and at the end of this life, go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Krishna, you told we have to lose the identity crisis so that we will get the constitution. But identity crisis still it is existing in which mind level or maybe in intelligence level. But identity crisis, we are still facing the problem. But in situations that we feel that we are this, how can we lose this? Because the constitutional question we still not, I myself am telling that I am not found that I am still, something is lagging within me, so I couldn't able to get that.
Okay, so the question is about the identity crisis, that I'm still not thinking I'm spirit soul, I'm still identifying myself as this body. This was the point you made? So, we can become Krishna conscious in one moment, or like Maharaj Katvanga. We can become Krishna conscious in 7 days, like Maharaj Parikshit. We can become Krishna conscious in 6 months, like Dhruva Maharaj, or we can become Krishna conscious in the next life. It's up to us. It's in my hand. So we have to first study the Shastra. We have to understand, who am I? This is the first instruction of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Who are you? You are the spirit soul. So I have to practice this idea and inculcate it in my life. I have to always remember I am the spirit soul. How does the spirit soul relate to other spirit souls? How do I behave to someone as a spirit soul, and how do I behave to someone as an Indian, as this body? So we have to learn to inculcate this spiritual conception that I am Atma, and I see everyone else as Atma. Now, how do I know if I'm at that platform or not? We need to know this. Because the way you see yourself is the way you see the world. Atmavatmanyate jagat. The way I see myself is the way I see the rest of the jagat. So if I'm seeing everyone as body, then I'm seeing myself as body. And if I see everyone as spirit soul, I'm seeing myself as spirit soul. So I should be seeing everyone as spirit soul. Then it means I'm seeing myself as spirit soul. This is a test. This is the test. And also, identity crisis means that I am Atma and there's Paramatma. So not only do I see the Atma in every other body, but I see the Paramatma in their body also. So we may be out preaching, and we approach some person and they're not interested, they're rude. And Krishna is saying to us, can you see me in this body also? Can we see Paramatma in that rude person also? Paramatma is also in his body. Can we see the Paramatma there also? We should. That's Krishna consciousness. So no matter how disturbed someone is, this is my first point, I'm not disturbed internally. Thank you very much. I appreciate. And you give Ashirbad. The Vaishnava gives Ashirbad to everybody. Even they treat me badly, this is good. Amanina. I didn't want to be glorified. Oh, you're finding my fault. Very good. Thank you. Now I can become more humble, more tolerant than the tree. Give the Ashirbad. And Krishna is pleased. Very good. You saw me in this person's body. So we have to not only see the Atma in everyone's body, we have to see that Paramatma is in everybody's body also. That is Krishna consciousness. And when Prabhupada saw us and he looked at us, we all experienced. He didn't see our body. He was seeing us as spirit soul. And that's why we surrendered to him. Because he was there. He wasn't talking about it. He was already there. He was 100% Krishna conscious. And so we wanted to become like him. I want to become like you. What do I have to do? Okay, I follow these rules and regulations. I follow these principles, and I can become like you? Yes, okay. Accept me as your disciple. So we have to study the teachings. And we have to learn what are the 10 offenses, because these are the things, the 10 things that block us, that prevent us from making advancement. The 10 offenses. And the 4 regulative principles. These are 4 other things that if we meditate on them, they also block us and prevent us from becoming Krishna conscious. So we have to know, as the Ishopanishad explains, we have to know what is spiritual life. We have to know what is material life. We have to know what to do. We have to know what not to do. That is Krishna conscious. Did I answer your question? Hare Krishna. Yes.
Haribo.
Krishna. So, Hare Krishna. We request you to, if you could kindly share any personal experiences you had with Srila Prabhupada.
Personal experience with Srila Prabhupada. Well, that means a long time. So I'll just give you a 1-minute personal experience. In 1976 in Vrindavan, in Prabhupada's quarters, I had a private darshan with him. And it was very wonderful. I had just come back from preaching in Kashmir. I was living in India at that time. I was a book distributor, and we had gone to Kashmir to distribute books because we wanted to distribute to the Muslim population because we were thinking that this would please Prabhupada. So we were very successful in doing that in 1976. So then we came back to Vrindavan. Prabhupada was there. So we had darshan with Prabhupada and told him. And he was very happy. And you know what he said to me? He said, "Oh, I went to Kashmir before I went to America." He went first to Kashmir. He told me that. And I said to him, "Yes, I know Srila Prabhupada." Now, how did I know? Because when I was there, I saw one sign which said Oriental Library. So I went in there, and I was thinking Prabhupada's book should be in this Oriental Library. And I spoke to the librarian, and he already had Prabhupada's first 3 volumes, first Canto. And he told me the author himself came here, and I purchased these books from him. So I already knew that Prabhupada had gone to preach in Kashmir. So then he told me, "Oh, I went to Kashmir before I went." So I told him, "Yes, I met that gentleman. And I got him to take the rest of your books." Now he's got the full set of Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything. I convinced him. He took all the books. So then Prabhupada said to me, "So wherever you go, and whoever you meet, you share with people the knowledge that I have given to you, you share with them. And in this way, they will be benefited and you will be benefited." So he gave me so many instructions on that darshan. That was one of them. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.